the next election, which is this. The Trump administration is getting not 20-something, not 30-something, not 40-something, 60-something% of the African-American vote in America. And people will say, that's a lie. That's not going to happen. I'm like, listen, we live in a reality now where you need to ask yourself a question. Where are you interesting black protesters, African-American protesters, getting the money to travel around and protest over and over? Time off from the job, you guys got credit cards, you can like hold it over. Where are you getting the money from to be?
Okay, I lost the connection again. Let's wait and see if we can get him back. The conditions of these slave labor camps are really concerning, and it's not being reported on enough. And some of the stories that I'm hearing coming out of China are just unimaginable. Hi.
I'm sorry,
there.
what?
Hi.
I'm sorry, go ahead. Please repeat.
I'm talking about...
Yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead.
We have a lot of American corporations that are reliant on Chinese labor. And I wanted to expand a little bit on the conditions of slave labor camps.
I'm sorry, say that again?
I just wanted to expand a little bit on the reality of the conditions that these people live under in these camps, these labor camps. Because...
Well, let me give you a great example.
And David, I mean, you need to you need to tell the
stories
listeners,
and some images and
you need to tell the listeners
when the Jews were in the concentration camps and not.
That's the global template that the Chinese.
Oh, you got gold teeth? We'll take that too.
Can you hear? I can't hear you. Did I lose you again? Can you hear me? Oh, shit, I lost the connection. Let's see if I'll get him back. David? I said one candy bar. You said two. Go take a shower. All right. Well, I think I'm going to end the show there. David is in transition, and I'm really happy he could join me tonight and give me somewhat of an update on what's going on. And hopefully he will come back on the air with me again when we have a much better connection. Anyways, guys, I'm going to... Oh, let's see. Is he coming back? I was hoping to discuss, some of the realities of these slave labor camps. And, when we think about some of the corruption that's occurring here in the United States and what they're trying to impose here, some of the censorship that we're all experiencing on the internet and so forth, that's the Chinese censorship. And the template, the economic template, the social and global, the economic and social template of China supports the globalist agenda. And so, people need to really think about is that what they want, to come here to America, are these slave labor camps and these conditions. And I just think that it's really important that we keep an eye on what's going on in China and pray for these people. They've gone through horrific crimes, and some of them are living in horrible, horrible conditions. Anyways, thank you so much for tuning into the show this evening. If you'd like to support my content, you can subscribe to my show on Patreon, Porthole to Justice, The Window to the Truth. I'm on Twitter, Instagram. Are you back? I was closing out the show.
Oh, really? Okay.
Well, I didn't know if you were going to call me back, so.
Oh, I definitely called you back. Do we still have time, or we're done?
Yeah, I have a few minutes. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Hello?
Yeah.
Hello?
I wanted to talk a little bit about, the social and global, the social and economic template of the Chinese is what supports the globalist agenda.
Well, I mean, they basically transferred a lot of. Let me say a name, and everyone's going to remember this. Mark my words. Gary Wilcock will regret ever bothering to parrot anything he ever heard from Benjamin Fulford. And Benjamin Fulford, I kid you not, is the prototype for every Chi-Com agent you see now. But the majority of Chi-Com agents now are black people pretending to be infuriated by white people. And in fact, there's a video that just recently came out of the leaked footage of, George Floyd. And I'm going to be honest, I think it's unfortunate that the guy died, but if you've never been a part of a PSYOP, or you've never been tricked into going to one only to later find out that's what you're participating in, you don't know that George Floyd was a PSYOP that went high. Meaning that here's a guy who was acting, probably did get cocktailed. Because, see, here's the thing is, they never show you who he was in the car with. George Floyd wasn't alone in the car. He was in the car with someone else. So the question becomes, who's the other guy in the car with George Floyd? But more importantly, not who was George Floyd in the car with. That raises a whole bunch of questions that have to be answered before we even talk about the entire situation with George Floyd. More importantly, when you're watching the video, it's like this guy is either on drugs or he's acting like he's on drugs, because they kept saying, "Sir, please put your hands up. Sir, please put your hands up." And all he kept doing was, and people say, "Oh, he was scared for his life." And I'm like, I'm a guy who had a double-barrel sawed-off shotgun to the back of his head. And all I said to the guy was, "Hey, just don't shoot me in the back. Hey, just don't shoot me in the back." You know what I mean? Like, you can have my money. All I'm saying is just don't shoot me in the back. I said it to him calmly, but that's me. Whatever, I don't know. I was like 20, maybe 21 when this happened. Anyway, that's not even the point. The point is that we live in a world where basically that whole situation was scripted. And when you watch the video, basically you had a guy who they were paying to pretend like he was being harassed and messed with by police actually get killed in the process. So that was a psyop that they were like, let's put some blood on the table for this one. And people are going to say, how could you say that? It's like, if you've never participated in a psyop, if you've never been briefed on one, if you don't even know what a psyop is, like there's levels of it. It's not just one event. It's a build-up to those events. And sometimes it's just different methods of getting a reaction out of a larger public, But I digress, because once you watch the video, you'll see like, oh, this guy was, your typical Chi-Com. Got paid to be there. He was going through the motions. It was supposed to be a video. Because let me tell you something. There are more fake videos of police harassment on the internet, unverified on the internet, than you can imagine. And the reason why is because it's like, you would think with the way these videos play out, you would know who the girlfriend is. You would know who we've seen it before. Show the sad black family. Cut to commercial. Okay. All right. Now they're angry. So I'm just going to say this as a caveat, just because people who actually believe in the nature of what it means to be an American will understand, people who read, right? Regardless of color, people who read, they're going to be able to tell you something really interesting, which is this. How is it that we have this much unverified police violence? When I say unverified, I mean, how is it that we have this much unverified stuff that's just all over the internet? You would think they would latch on to everything. But it's like, okay, they were baking this thing like a grenade with no pin in it ever since they knew, okay, we got to get a race war going or some, we got to rev up the Negroes. Let's rev up the Negroes. And that's exactly what the Democrats did with this. Now, meanwhile, in terms of the banking system, they hope that there's no, they deliberately went out of their way to make sure that they could avoid giving PPP, ELD loans and grants to the inner city communities for minorities. That includes women, all right, regardless of color, but definitely the African-American community, definitely parts of the Hispanic community and other parts of the Asian community. And the reason why they did it was because if your businesses fail, you're still going to need us. If you lose your homes and you all get evicted and you're out in the streets, it's easy for us to implant an agitator or a bunch of different agitators to aim you at whatever we tell you is bad. Because you're still going to be sitting at home with your bridge card, eating a bunch of free food, angry you don't have jobs, waiting on, realizing that you probably should have bought some actual food that you could get to last, maybe paid your rent with your stimulus checks, or your unemployment, and now that it's all gone and you're done and you can't live like the hog and you got PlayStation and an Xbox and some nice Jordans, whatever else you mismanage your money on, did everybody in the African-American community in their city, poor white people, do that? But unfortunately, a significant number of people did do that. And because of that, they were hoping that those were the people that when it came time to vote on extending the CARES Act so that people could have money who don't have a job, they deliberately let it happen because they wanted to create a bunch of homeless people on the streets with no money and no food so they could just aim them at the White House, aim them at the courthouse. You know what I mean? They were trying to create another color revolution, same as in the Ukraine, and it backfired. You know why it backfired? It backfired because they were actually trying, this is where everything fell apart, and I saw it happen the other day live on television. The police officers chased down a car full of 4 young black males, right? Or African-American males, whatever nomenclature you want somebody to tell you are, yeah, whatever. So, and one of the cops on his camera, you could see they're yelling at the young teens, stop, put your hands up, freeze, don't move. And the guy comes running out of the car. Why did all these guys have on no shirt, except for maybe the kid who was overweight, right? And they weren't kids. I'm using that term though, but they were kids in the sacrificial goat sense. Yeah, sure. But he jumps out of the car and he's got blue steel, what looked like was a hammerless revolver. It was a kind of new gun, folks. This isn't a cheap gun. It's like a $800 or $1,200 gun. But that's not the point. The point is, the police officer shoots him after he sees the gun, and he's yelled at him a few times. But see, here's the interesting part of why the police officer shot him. They were chasing them in the first place because they had been positively identified as a group of young African-American males who had been directly connected and involved with the killing of 4 teenagers. So you think to yourself, listen to this. You think to yourself, what is this mess? Right? You think to yourself, what is this mess? Well, wait for it. So the media is trying to turn this into a debate about were the police right. I live in Detroit. I've dealt with Detroit cops. It's been a very simple exchange of yes sir, no sir, have a nice day. I don't know where everybody just gets off, but I digress. People are brainwashed. So no sooner than that happened, the very next day, you had these fake paid Chinese, these fake African-American, fake outrage Chinese agitators. Chinese paid and bought agitators. I'm saying Chinese, but I want to throw Soros in the mix. And I'm saying Chinese when I really mean criminal cabal of pigs, right? So I'm saying this to say that the agitator they had come out actually stood there at a podium in front of, meanwhile, where'd y'all get a podium? Stood